Hey guys, Isabel here. Welcome back to Reeled In. So today is not a reaction video, but I thought I would do an analysis video for the first episode of Loki. Because there was a lot of things that I saw, and I surprised myself with seeing, and just things that I wanted to talk about. I was thinking of waiting till the very end, like I did with the Falcon and Winter Soldier analysis, where I broke it down into two different parts, episodes 1 through 3 and then 4 through 6. But I decided that this would be more fun and take more relevance. But if you want to check out my Falcon analysis, you can click up here, or you can check out the description down below after this video is over. So in episode 1 of Loki, titled Glorious Purpose, it starts immediately after the Infinity Stone heist, after the Battle of New York in the first Avenger movie, putting this series to happen sort of simultaneously with the events of Endgame, but can most likely be watched immediately after Endgame ends if you're the kind of person who likes to watch the movies in the order of their MCU timeline, like I am. So as of now, I believe it'd be Endgame, Loki, WandaVision, Falcon, and then Spider-Man Far From Home is, I believe, the order. But in this opening scene, Loki takes the Tesseract. As we find out later, this event causes an immediate branching of another timeline. The opening Marvel logo is green and bronze for Loki colors, which I thought is amazing. And I love little hints and Easter eggs that they do for that. So in this now branched off timeline, Loki transports himself to the Gobi Desert, which is still within the 2012 timeline. He transports himself from New York to Mongolia. Now, I thought this whole series was going to be about Loki fixing the timeline he essentially ruined and then the one that he created. But as we see in this scene, that particular issue has actually already been resolved. The TVA detonate a special charge that erases the branching timeline. So the timeline where Loki escapes with the Tesseract has already been erased by the TVA themselves. Or at least that's what I think, because they definitely set the charge, and I'm pretty sure I'm following along logically, The charge has a purple misty glow, which we see a lot throughout the trailer, so that makes me think, in future episodes, will Loki become trapped in a timeline that is being reset or erased? Like, my number one question is, how is this going to be resolved? Loki is technically dead, as Thanos killed him in Infinity War. I have never really understood time travel at all and how it works out in movies and TV shows. I think it's a tricky concept to deal with. So I'm also excited to see how Loki does this, because the Endgame time travel, for me personally, didn't make a whole lot of sense. But I'm thinking Loki existing in another time in space is also a big no-no. So maybe the ending will have Loki doing one last big fix. And maybe that big fix also happens to be fixing his own existence. So the TVA capture Loki and bring him to the TVA headquarters. Also notice how the Tesseract dims when he enters the TVA, our first clue that anything powerful is instantly rendered useless when it enters the TVA. Also, I think something's up with Miss Minutes. Her voice just doesn't sit right with me.
Welcome to the Time Variance Authority. I'm Miss Minutes.
Through her, though, we find out that there used to be a multiversal war, which could help explain the existence of alternate realities that are canon within the MCU. Like how in Spider-Man Far From Home, it's at first believed Mysterio is from a different Earth, and how the MCU technically takes place on Earth 199999999. There are a lot of nines in it. Then we were introduced to the Timekeepers, who created the sacred timeline, which is what I believe the MCU takes place in. Miss Minutes also says that an individual who steps off their predestined path creates a Nexus event, which throws us back to WandaVision, where it was confirmed that Wanda herself is a Nexus being, someone who can travel between realities and even create their own, as we all saw. She follows by saying, if there are too many Nexus events, it could lead to a multiverse war. She even threw in the word madness.
Left unchecked, could branch off into madness, leading to another multiversal war.
So it's just kind of logical to connect that with Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness movie, which we know will include Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff herself. It's also said that the TVA only steps in when the timekeepers say an event doesn't follow the sacred timeline. So the Avengers were supposed to go back in time to get the Infinity Stones, but Loki was never supposed to escape with the Tesseract. That means that Wanda in WandaVision was supposed to happen since the TVA didn't come and erase that timeline. So maybe that also means that another multiverse war is technically also supposed to happen, because I think that's what maybe the Multiverse of Madness could be leading up to, or maybe it's the start of it. We'll see. We just have to wait for the movie, but just something to think about. So now we're in France in 1549. Someone is attacking the TVA and stealing the charges. Now, as far as I know, the charges only have one use, which is to destroy timelines. So that has me thinking, this person is stealing charges in order to erase another timeline. But which one? And I'll get to that later, towards the end. The TVA agent asks the little girl who committed the crime, and the girl points to the stained glass window of the devil. And for a split second, and I know many others, thought of Mephisto. But as it has been confirmed, it was simply the depiction of Loki with his horned helmet. So it wasn't Mephisto. So sorry theorists, and sorry myself, because I got super excited. Also notice though how this devil's tongue is blue, and so is the little girl's mouth due to the candy she ate. So perhaps a certain someone who is attacking the TVA is a shapeshifter, and perhaps that little girl wasn't just a little girl, but the person who had done the attack. And I'll get back to this in a bit, also towards the end of the video. And we also see a little something that I know many are excited about, and it is that Loki is gender fluid. Now, for those of you who want to get mad about it, in the Norse myths, Loki shifted into a female horse, I think to hide from like Odin or Thor or someone. And he got pregnant by a male horse, then gave birth to an 8-legged horse. So deal with it. And as great as this is, and some could argue is progressive on Marvel's part, I think there may be another reason why they slid this quick hint into the show. And I'll also get back to that later, as it also ties into shapeshifting. So Loki goes up and he starts to stand trial and is called Loki Laufeyson, because he's actually the son of Laufey, the frost giant, and not Odin, as Odin sort of adopted him. Because I was confused when I did my reaction video as to why he was called that. But I did my research and I know. Also, I have this like feeling of dread that this entire story is going to be pretty sad, because what is this music?
I thought there was no magic here. Where is it?
But the agent in France introduces himself officially as Agent Mobius, kind of like the Mobius strip Stark developed in Endgame to create time travel.
Coincidence? I think not!
So my initial thought was that the TVA was a nexus itself, but on further contemplation, I think the TVA is a place that simply exists separately from time and space. Like it doesn't exist until it does exist, kind of thing. So then Mobius takes Loki to the time theater, where he basically shows him his past life and eventually his future life. And I didn't quite understand the whole airplane scene at first, but I realized that Loki was actually D.B. Cooper, a guy in real life who actually hijacked a plane and stole money. So this makes me wonder, what other real life degenerates will we see Loki portray in this series? I'm hoping for Jack the Ripper. And I know that this part of the series was super dialogue heavy, but I think it had a lot of important dialogue. Like, I think we may actually start to understand how miserable of a character Loki is. It's basically confirmed that he has to suffer and cause suffering so that everyone else around him can achieve greatness.
You weren't born to be king, Loki. You were born to cause pain and suffering and death, all so that others can achieve their best versions of themselves.
But he's left behind, and that's all he wants to do is be great. Like literally, how tragic for him. But then Loki continues to be his mischievous self, and he escapes the time theater by stealing Mobius's little time handheld device thingy. Don't really know what it's called. And he tries to threaten Casey by getting the Tesseract back. And he discovers that the TVA has a plethora of Infinity Stones. Like useless Infinity Stones. And this is the moment where Loki realizes just how insignificant he is and how basically the whole world is just as insignificant. Here is a place that keeps a collection of Infinity Stones in a tin box in a confiscation cart. It's almost like the cost to get the Infinity Stones means nothing. I'm coming for you, TVA, and Miss Minutes. I'm just gonna tell myself that the Infinity Stones don't work outside their respective timelines. And maybe that'll make myself feel better. Also, you did not have to put my man Loki through this much pain in episode 1. Like, my gosh, I was here for it, but you didn't have to do it. But I also think Loki seeing his story and how it plays out really seals the idea of Loki's arrogance dropping a few pegs. Like when Loki tells Thanos that he will never be a god. He's also talking to his past self as well. And then the roll of film comes to an end and a very physical view and representation of Loki's storyline ending. And then by the end of this episode, it's revealed that Loki himself is the variant that has been killing and stealing the charges. And this is where the shape-shifting and the gender fluidness stuff I was talking about earlier comes into play. I do think it's Loki, but I think it's the female version of Loki. In the comics, Lady Loki is literally Loki, but in a female body. The body was originally meant to support another conscience, but Loki hijacked it and just goes around and does stuff as Lady Loki, basically. So with Loki's ability to shapeshift and is now gender fluid, I feel like it's a possibility that we could see Lady Loki in this series. We go to an oil field in Oklahoma in 1858. The TVA come across a futuristic-looking weapon that is said to be from the third millennia. And if my counting is right, the third millennia is now, I believe. Because I believe it's within the years 2010 to like present. Or 2001 to present, I don't know. So the weapon is from the future, technically from the 1858 time period they're in now. And then we don't actually see the variant at the end, but I get a strange sense of like immense anger and a vibe that was just slightly off from the 2012 Loki. I just feel like he isn't the kind of dude to set people on fire. Like, I feel like that's not really his style. I feel like he's more like he goes in and he does the thing himself with like a scepter or something. I don't know, I could be wrong. Has he set people on fire in the past and I don't remember it? Let me know. Also, another big question, why is this Loki stealing the charges and why so many? If he's stealing them to collect them for something bigger, he now has 8 different charges. So why do they need to steal so many? My guess is that this person may be trying to destroy not just any timeline, but the sacred timeline itself. I don't know why or how yet, but that's my theory. Well, guys, that is my quick analysis for Loki episode 1, all the things I saw, and just my thoughts on what the future for this series will hold. So make sure you guys leave a like on this video, comment what you think. What do you think this future series is gonna do? And what are your thoughts about female Loki? Do you think she'll make an appearance or not? Do you think it's actually Loki himself? And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for future reaction analysis videos for Loki, other Marvel, Star Wars things as well. But that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.